Right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And the first thing I want to talk about is Bakkt will start moonshot Bitcoin futures testing in July. So the fairy tale that is Bakkt actually plans on doing something in July, but we'll have to see if that actually comes to fruition, because we've been hearing about Bakkt since August 2017. And they're like, yeah, we're going to come out in December. No, it's going to be January. And then the SEC is too slow, so we're going to come out later. And then we haven't heard much news since. But at least this is something. Bitcoin futures acceptance testing is coming July 22nd. So an exact date this time, which I think we've actually had that before. In a blog post, June 13th, Adam White, Bakkt COO and original employee of crypto exchange Coinbase, named July 22nd as the date user testing will finally begin. On July 22nd, 2 days after Apollo 11's 50th anniversary, which, fair enough, Bakkt will initiate user acceptance testing for its Bitcoin futures listed and traded in ICE Futures US and cleared at ICE Clear US, he confirmed. So, Bakkt Futures is going to be another futures now. CME Futures and CBOE, which I think CBOE actually shut down its Bitcoin futures, and CME still is going on. But those were paper futures and really didn't have too much to do with the price, except for maybe make sort of an institutional or a whale decision on to buy or sell. Now, it was in December of 2017 when we actually had the dumpening, if you will, from 20,000 to, well, it got eventually down to 3,200. And it was literally the day after CME and CBOE futures came out. Literally. So I actually think that it was probably a good time for everybody, especially people with a lot of money, to be shorting Bitcoin and sort of fudding on it once that happened. Now, it is paper futures, so there was no real Bitcoin. It was just essentially bets with money. But you could probably make a bet. Didn't mean to use it twice, but you can make your bet that some whales were probably betting on it going down and then selling a bunch of Bitcoin to make that happen, considering it's not regulated in any way. So it makes a lot of sense. So Bakkt futures will actually have Bitcoin backing it. So you're going to be betting with Bitcoin, getting Bitcoin. So at least it's going to create some kind of demand for them to be holding a lot of Bitcoin. So that's why people are a little excited about Bakkt. But so far it's been proven to be sort of a fairy tale, as it was announced in August 2018 and then went on and on and on. And I think I might have earlier said it was August 2017, but I think it was August 2018, and then it was supposed to be December, and then January, and so on and so on. So it just, we'll believe it when we see it. Moving on to more somewhat fairy tale news. John McAfee unveils magic crypto trading platform, promises your keys, your crypto. Okay, fair enough, but John McAfee says a lot of interesting things, and everybody always listens to it, and none of it really ever actually happens. Oh, I'm going to bury the government. Oh, I'm going to say who Satoshi Nakamoto is. The list honestly goes on and on. John McAfee has shared a link to his new trading platform, McAfee Magic. So I guess he doesn't make any money, though, right? And that's why he's, buried in tax debt and running from the government. But he has time to make a new trading platform, totally, as it promises a lot, including anonymous stealth mode trading and some initial login issues. Appears to be working normally. So maybe sometime I'll do a review on this exchange. I don't know if it's gonna come to light very well or not. Who knows? It's John McAfee. He's just here for the crypto entertainment at this point. The platform was announced in a tweet amid the current social media tale of McAfee running from the U.S. authorities. Sorry to be late with my magnum opus trading platform, but I did not anticipate having to mud wrestle the Bahamian police commissioner, along with dodging assassins this week. Totally. Always dodging them assassins, McAfee. Good for you on your boat. The magic is that novice traders are not required to fund trader accounts. Novices retain control over access to their funds at exchanges. Your keys, your crypto. That's McAfee magic. Just kind of like how everything about McAfee is pretty magic. So taking a look at the website, it's pretty basic. Let's just do a refresh here. And it's just, it takes a while to even get into it. So this looks like one of those websites from the 90s, and it might as well have those like 16 color GIFs, like flashing around and like the JPEGs or whatever. because this looks pretty basic. 8 exchanges, 500 currencies, 4,360 trusted users. So are we trusting the users now? I don't. So like, what? Why trusted users exactly? I mean, because like I could be using the exchange, but the exchange might not trust me. I mean, I could easily like hack the exchange, or well, probably not easily, but I'm just saying, like, are we really trusting all the users? What does that even mean exactly? So I will look at this later on down the line, and we'll have to see actually how this exchange is, if they have some fake trading or anything like that going on. Now, before I get into the next article here, I do have kind of an announcement for the channel. I'm going to be moving to Pittsburgh, so basically all the way across the country, and that's going to be happening pretty soon. Going to be there in like a couple weeks, and that's going to, during the move, obviously I'm probably not going to be making any videos. When I get there, you know, you got to turn on utilities, I got to move in, boxes, all that stuff. So there might be a good while, maybe even like a week, where there might not be any videos, so I apologize for that. So if you're wondering, hey, where you at? Probably in a truck going across the country. So, ooh, if you think I sound unenthused about it, I am a little bit. Have you ever driven all the way across the country in an uncomfortable truck? It's rough. Anyway, totally absurd new FATF rules to turn Bitcoin exchanges into banks. So the FATF, biggest threats to crypto. So an update to how national regulators should treat businesses dealing with cryptocurrency tokens will officially go on public the 21st of the month. Its impact is not entirely clear, but experts are already warning that anyone, be it a business or a private investor, who exchanges more than $1,000 essentially worth of crypto will have to provide personal information. For business such as exchanges and asset managers, the requirements stipulate the recipient of funds must be identified, something many have insisted is impossible with decentralized cryptocurrencies. The FATF can only make recommendations, and their application is a matter for each jurisdiction's authorities. Those countries who do not comply can face blacklisting, however, and even removal from the global financial system. Their recommendation can have much a larger impact than the SEC or any other regulator has had to date. So basically, any exchange or any businesses or anything like that that is exchanging more than $1,000 of cryptocurrency has to essentially have KYC, has to essentially identify yourself. And that could go worldwide eventually. And that's why I say, like, you know, people always say, well, nobody can stop Bitcoin, and which is kind of true, but they also can certainly try. Now, if a government bans Bitcoin and exchanges and things like that in the country, that can have a savage effect. A lot of people end up selling off and getting rid of it. It'll make it harder for the volume in that country and things like that. So, somebody, I think one of my live streams once was like, well, the government can't stop Bitcoin. And my response is, they could certainly try. I mean, they could certainly do some harm. Just like China. We've seen that in 2017. I think it was about September of 2017. The Chinese exchanges were banned in China. And that brought our Bitcoin price from, it was nearly 5,000. It was the first time it was ever at 5,000. It was like 4,900 and something. It was just about to break 5,000. And we went to 3,200 within a couple of weeks after that. And we've since, of course, corrected. We went to 20,000, et cetera, and here we are today. However, we could just see how governments can. And there's a lot of people that would listen. And even if you didn't want to listen to the government, it's like, no, I'm going to trade Bitcoin anyway. It does make it a lot harder. Like if you were in the U.S., Kraken and Coinbase, et cetera, would be shut down. Maybe some exchanges worldwide would be required to KYC you. And then if you're from America, they won't let you trade. It's certainly going to put a damper on the 350 plus million people in the United States, just like it did with China, even though they were still allowed to mine, and they did try to have like these local exchanges. But even in my channel, I showed how, China was cracking down on the local trading of it and things like that. But anyway, moving on from that terrible news, on to bad news for Ripple as Visa enters the cross-border payments market. So this is why I talk about Ripple sometimes, in how XRP, Ripple, what have you, that eventually I think banks, they will have a lot of partnerships, and we're actually about to talk about that right after this. And that's fine. So it could be a totally viable cryptocurrency for cross-border payments. Fair enough. I've never been that big of a fan of XRP, but it is a good idea to have these digital payments across borders, so we don't have to deal with this slow money-moving system anymore. Great. However, JP Morgan made JPM coin, and they're like, well, we move 6 trillion a day. We're just going to do this on our own. And it just goes to show, like, well, they didn't really need Ripple there. They just made their own, and they're just going to make it happen between themselves and won't have to partner or buy or put money into Ripple or anything like that. They can just do it themselves. So payment processing giant Visa launched a business-to-business platform to enhance the efficiency of cross-border transactions for smaller financial institutions. Traditionally, smaller institutions have to rely on the service of larger intermediary banks, causing potential delays and high fees. So Visa B2B Connect, as it is called, is built on the Hyperledger Fabric blockchain software from IBM and Linux. The company developed a blockchain-based solution to increase transparency and traceability, although obviously the platform is not decentralized. Of course it's not. Well, Visa and MasterCard, if they were decentralized, we would have extremely slow transactions. When Black Friday comes around and you swipe your card and it takes a minute standing there at the register, it's because there's so many transactions going on that even Visa and MasterCard are bogged down a little bit. And they can handle, 10, 20,000. Probably every 10 minutes or every minute or something. It's extremely fast. Again, this just goes to show that corporations don't always need to partner with these, third-party developed cryptocurrencies. All they got to do is just go, let's just make our own. Let's just work with IBM or something and just make our own. And we won't have to partner with anybody. Essentially, we could just have the partners that we already work with create this, and let's go. Just like JPM Coin, these big banks can do it at any time. And honestly, I don't see how this hasn't been done a long time ago, even before cryptocurrency, because it's all digital anyway. When you go into the bank, you have just a digital number essentially that transfers digital money into somebody else's account. They don't there's not an individual vault with your name on it, and then they take out $100 and put it into somebody else's vault when you pay somebody to their bank account. It's just they just go, okay, we negatively credit you 100 credits. We positively credit this other person 100 credits. Have a good day, citizen. It's all digital anyway. So why does it take so long? Nobody knows. Why does it take so long for me to send money to a different country? It's just digital. It should just say, okay, this money goes here, and then this money goes into this person's account. Who knows? And it seems like this would have came out a long time ago, and I think corporations will make their own cryptocurrencies here in the future. I think it's really starting to accelerate, and we're going to start seeing a very gray line starting between private and corporate cryptocurrencies, and eventually it's just going to meld into, honestly, the corporations always win. And I don't mean even to sound that like a conspiratorial or a negative thing. It's just the truth. Since when have corporations not won? Exactly. Or railroad tycoons or oil tycoons, or anything, the elite making, their corporations or their businesses. And it's just a matter of time. It really is. Ripple says 14 new banks in financial institutions just joined RippleNet. So some bad news for Ripple, and then good news for Ripple, I suppose, right? So it just goes to show that Ripple can definitely get these partnerships. At the same time, the big banks can just go, or honestly, any banks, working with each other, especially the big banks, because they're the intermediary for the small ones. They can just go, no, we're just going to make our own digital thing. We can just do this. It's not going to be too hard, right? We don't have to partner with Ripple. We'll just make our own. We'll just pay the money to research and develop it on our own, and then get it done. And then that way, we're in absolute total control of it. Not Ripple is in control of the Ripple that we have that we can send back and forth. We are in control of it. If you think that corporations are just going to give up the control for Ripple and things like that, I find that hard to believe. Now, that's not to say that cryptocurrency will fail or that Bitcoin is useless or Ethereum or Litecoin or something like that is useless. Of course, they're stores of value. They have, there's many, many, many different uses for them. But again, when it comes to the institutions, just going to make their own. Ripple's global head of banking says the company's network of banks and financial institutions called RippleNet is growing at a rapid pace. In a new interview with Bob's Guide, he talks about the impact of blockchain technology in the world of finance. It says 14 new banks and financial institutions have signed up for RippleNet in the past few weeks alone. So growing really quickly, and that's great. And I think Ripple will always do well. Ripple recently revealed that on average, it's adding 2 to 3 financial institutions to RippleNet per week and recorded more transactions on the network in the first quarter of this year than all of 2018. Company's not released an update on the overall number of companies that have joined its network since revealing it has more than 200 clients late last year. So Ripple, I think in the end, I think it's going to do well. But again, I think it's sort of the beginning of the corporate currency, especially starting with the banks and Facebook coin that is coming out, or whatever they call it, global coin, or they should just call it Facebook coin, to be totally honest, or Zuckerberg coin. Zuckcoin. But either way, that's going to show people, hey, we can make billions of dollars doing this. Look at what Facebook did. Look what JP Morgan did. Look what this other corporation did. Look what these guys did. Look what Long Island Iced Tea did with Long Island blockchain, right? Their stock went up 500%. Why? Nobody knows, right? But a lot of happy investors. And they're going to do this. And again, it's going to be services that should have already existed or already exist in the form of some kind of digital coupon or code or something like that, guised as a cryptocurrency. It really is. And it's going to make a lot of people buy into it and use those services. People will be fooled for sure. And a lot of it will be useful. I'm not saying it's all just junk, but people will be fooled. So $264 billion market cap, 8,248 Bitcoin. We'll do a little refresh here to see where we're at. 8,200 Bitcoins. We went down a little 40 there, but not too big of a deal. So everything's looking pretty green today. Now a little bit of reds, but we had that rise and gained about 20 billion on the market cap. And as we get closer to Litecoin's still doing fairly well. I think we were up to like 135 or 36 on Litecoin, but since dipped. And that makes total sense because it was basically a straight path all the way up. And you got to expect anything that goes up like that, it's going to go down a little bit, 10, 20% if that happens, or, lose some of its losses. But I think Litecoin's going to continue, might be about 200, maybe even 300. I think that's really optimistic by the end of the year, though. But 200 is really not out of the question, considering the halvening and the hype that will bring, especially the closer that gets. And then, of course, we have the Bitcoin halvening, which is the closer that gets. That's going to be way bigger hype, way bigger than Litecoin or any other halvening. But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, helps me out a lot. So does sharing the videos. But social media in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.